I'm not going to go there. I'm going to go there because if I start there, I won't stop. Not the model. But anyway, that's not the model. But that was a whole mindset, right? Right? Come on. I'm not the only person that saw this. And so you're the CEO, so you've got the resources, and they're your resources to put where you think they will best serve to build the vision God has given you as a church of the 80s and 90s. The Gen Xers are in there, they're serving, they're thinking, and they're, with all their hearts, they're serving the vision. Something happens, they come to a situation, whatever, where it's like either, ooh, I don't agree with that, because those types of systems, they eat people, right? And when you got a generation who's super relationship sensitive. So when they're seeing relationships not like broken or not handled correctly, not right relationship, they start getting stressed out. So, like let's say you're my pastor and I'm working with you and I see something happen and I think, I'll just go to him and I'll just say, did you know that this person really hurt? And no. In many cases, what they were met with, or it might even not even been that, it might have been, hey, there's another way we could try this. Because remember, we're adaptive. We're the guys, we have no investment in infrastructure. So your program doesn't work, oh, scrap it, let's do something else. That's how we think. That's not working, let's do something else. Like, we're not stuck. I don't have to babysit this form. I can leave it and go to something else till I find what God's looking for. We went to the leadership, tried to share, tried to present, labeled. Unsubmissive. You're a problem. Independent thought. I was in a church where literally it's like if you had independent thought, you were a problem. And I don't know if you can tell, but I'm kind of a person that has independent thoughts. And so, yeah, it didn't really mesh very well into an environment like that, right? And so what happened was, well, you don't fit, you're not working, you're a problem. Get rid of you, replace you with somebody else. I had another one of those. I'll just put that one in because it's like a cog in a wheel that the cog broke, and so I'll just get another cog. Throw that one out. That one doesn't work. This is the experience of a lot of Gen Xers. A lot of Gen Xers in the church. In fact, I could honestly tell you I haven't met one who hasn't had that kind of an experience. At least once. And you know what? Some of them persevered. Some of them stuck it out, and then it happened again. It happened again. It happened again. And what we had was mass exodus of our generation out of the church, pretty much in their 20s. That's the start of this mass exodus that now, I was just reading some research from George Barna recently, where they now said, if you look at a stage with people under the age of 30 and under, millennials, 8/10 of the teenagers today will not be in church by the time they're 30. 8/10. 80%. I was thinking about that last night when we were watching the worship, and all those little kids were up on stage, and they were singing in the little choir. Remember that? There were 10 of them. Statistics say 8 of them won't even be in church by the time they're 30. Like, that's a scary stat. And it started with our generation, like, bailing out of the church, feeling like there was no other option. Now, I'm not advocating that because obviously here I am. I'm still here. But I understand the mindset of why they did. Because it was like, it wasn't rebellion, it was brokenheartedness that took them out of the church. It broke their heart. Do you know what it's like to serve somebody and love somebody and think they're your spiritual dad, and you serve for 7-8 years, and then the day you have an idea and you just share with him, he's just like, I'm the pastor, I'm the one in charge, you're not the one in charge, blah, 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 and you're kicked out. It kills you, is what it does. And so that's why, see, you have a whole generation, they didn't leave God, they left the church. They went out into, because I know tons of Gen Xers who have a heart for God, but they will not darken the door of a church. They are afraid to go into a church. They're afraid of the system. They're afraid of being crushed by the system. I see all the Gen Xers are nodding. It's because everybody knows people like this. We all do. And I'm not advocating that that's the right solution. What I am saying is just helping you understand why that is. And so what you've got is all of them out there, and I know many people like this. And so they started clustering together as Gen Xers and creating their own little prayer groups or home fellowships or, I'm not here to comment on house church movement versus non-house church movement. I don't know. But I can tell you one thing, that's not how it's supposed to start. People that are hurt and broken and they have to leave and start their own church in their house. Okay, that's definitely not how it's supposed to start. But that's what they do, and they do that because they're so wounded or so hurt, they just don't think they can take that shot again. Or they checked out emotionally and spiritually. They sit in your church, in the back of the church, they smile, they pay their tithes, they smile, they do it. They may even sing in the choir, whatever, but they're disengaged. They're not owning it. They're not there with you. They're not pushing with the vision. It's like they've got no push left. So they come because they want their kids to go to Sunday school. They want their kids to see them going to church because they're worried that their kids are not going to have any kind, or you've got the flip side where they won't because they're scared. They don't want their kids to even see what goes on in church. I've had Gen Xers tell me that. I'm not putting my kids in that. And I'm like, yeah, but what are you teaching your kids? Like the separation. And like I said, I'm not in any way advocating that that's right. In fact, the opposite. We just did a gathering in Alberta back in March where the Lord opened. There's a group of us that have been walking together in Alberta. That was Carolyn and Roger alluded to it. We call it the Alberta Project. And it's a group of people walking together, seeking the Lord for his purposes for the province. And it's composed of fathers and mothers and Gen Xers. That's what makes it very unique. Over half the people in it are Gen X. And the Lord asked us to do a gathering in March in Edmonton, and he told us that it was for the mobilization of Gen X, and he called it 1-2-3 March. And it was actually on 1-2-3 March. And through different means, different people heard about it, and some of the spiritual moms and dads that I'd walked with in Watchmen came from other parts of the country. Carolyn told Daniel about it. Daniel and his friend Chris came in from Winnipeg. Gen Xers started showing up. Because who's ever heard of such a thing, a Gen X conference? Nobody's ever heard of such a thing. So people started showing up and we actually had people there from almost the whole country. And we gathered together, just waiting on the Lord, asking him what he wanted to say. And one of the things that he had placed, and we had a core team of Gen Xers who were spiritually responsible for this gathering, with a team of fathers and mothers walking with us. Because we really want to model that, right? That intergenerational. But also, what's unique about it is, because this is the other thing about Gen X, put Gen X and older leaders in a room together, the Gen X will always step back. Always. Put them in a meeting together and everyone's sharing and visioning or whatever together. What will happen is the Gen X will step back and they'll let the older leaders lead. It's like a natural kind of, boom, they step back. So we've had to really actively reverse that as we've been walking in Alberta and be pushing, the fathers are pushing the Gen X forward. They're like, no, you guys lead, you guys seek the Lord, you guys figure out, you guys facilitate the gathering. We're there covering, protecting, walking with you. We're there for wisdom. They're there to deal with all the weird people that I don't know how to deal with. And I was like, Rick, over there. It's awesome. It's awesome having fathers and mothers to walk with, And so we did this gathering, and one of the words the Lord gave us as a Gen X team before we did the gathering, it was very interesting because I'd been seeking the Lord, what do you want from Gen X? What do you want from Gen X? What do you want from Gen X? Right? I know what our destiny is. Our destiny is to be a bridge. Yesterday, Dave McFarland was sharing, and he said, he was talking to the boomers, and I appreciate the heart in it. He's like, we've got to build a bridge to the next generation. And I wanted to go, no! God already built the bridge. He called it Gen X. We're the bridge between the boomer generation and the millennials. To the boomers, we become like boomers, which is why many times you don't even realize we're among you. We're very good at morphing ourselves and we're very good, actually, again, remember the adaptive thing? We're very culturally adaptive. We come into your environment and we act like you. And we speak like you, and we talk in your language, and you don't even, that's why a lot of times, like I said, you're not even aware we're among you, right? But when I go with millennials, I totally talk like them and connect to them and text with them, and they feel totally comfortable too. But that's what a bridge has to do, right? If you think about a bridge, if the boomers are here and the millennials are here, you've got it. The bridge has to touch both sides. So it has to be able to relate to and understand both sides, right? And so we're adaptive by nature. As a group, we're always adapting and changing, but actually the reality of who we are is we're that gradation in between the two. It's hard to even define, and that's why a lot of times it's so good for Gen X just to get together and sit and talk, because we can't always articulate what we are. We just know we're not that and we're not that. But we can't say, what are we? It's hard to define it. And it's a beautiful thing to know that we don't actually have to necessarily define it, that it's okay for us to know that it's okay to be different and adaptive and just be ourselves. Like, that's okay. Thank you, Glenn. Glenn is one of those Gen Xers that's hidden himself so well, all the boomers think he's a boomer. Actually, Gen Xer. But